Warm welcome, and thanks for turning up. Excellent. Very nice. What I want to do is I want to achieve three things today and hopefully transmit as much knowledge to you as possible, so there's no confusion. I want to talk about the galactic alignment, what exactly that is. I want to also go through a story, the most amazing story that has ever been told. That there is the sun and all of the constellations of the heavens. All of them. That's the ecliptic. You see this sine wave? That's the journey that the sun makes backwards through the 12 signs of the zodiac. And as it goes backwards, comes to the age of Pisces where we are. Pisces is over here, Aries, Taurus. But the sun, that's the ecliptic. In other words, that's the passage of the sun, and this is the galactic equator. Okay? So this story that the sun journeys and takes every day, he does all of that. So our roof in the heavens every day goes around once, that away. Every year it goes once, that away. But every 25,920 years, being the official figure for precession of the equinoxes, it goes backward. So we derive from this three cycles that are fundamental to the storytelling of the gospel. This is the one and only gospel that exists. The Vedas come from here. This is the Vedas. There are 4 Vedas, are they not? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 4 seasons. There are 4 gospels, are there not? There are 4, but there are 1. There's 1. And so we're going to learn about this, and as we go through the 12 signs of the zodiac, I'm going to show you that there are also in the deacons, which mean these are 30-degree slots, by the way, and in those there are deacons, which mean 10-degree slots. Right? So there are 36 of them. Well, there are 36 extra zodiacal signs. And together with the 12 signs of the zodiac, they make up the 48 that the great astrologer of the the 2nd century Ptolemy recorded as 48 constellations in the sky. So when you look up, there are 48 very prominent and important constellations which make part of this storytelling. So not just the 12 of the ecliptic, but the 3 that are attached to every one. For instance, Aries has Cassiopeia, Cetus and Perseus in it. So that's where you find Perseus, the slayer of Medusa. That's where he dwells in the story. And Jason and his 12 voyages and the Argonauts, they begin in Aries because they're looking for the golden fleece. And Hercules begins his story in Leo because he has to slay the Numidian lion. Hercules is the sun. And Herod kills John the Baptist. That's Aquarius. Because what happens when the sun goes down, sorry about moving so far away. What happens when the sun goes down in August, and I'll show you this later. There is Aquarius there, John the Baptist. And when Leo comes up, rises, John the Baptist gets beheaded. Alright? So we're going to learn that every single story in the Gospels, in the Vedas, in the Trojan Wars, all of them come from this. There's your book. And we're going to learn about this book. I'm going to show you some parts of the Gospel here. And what I want to focus is around the constellation of Taurus, because there's Orion there. And Orion is doing something very important. He is guarding the tree of knowledge of life. And then I'm going to go to Scorpio, and there's a big story to tell there. Because Scorpio sits directly under the scales of Libra. And he waits every year, Scorpio. He's waiting every year under the scales of Libra, and when the sun goes through, where do we put this? There's the ram. Whoops, over there. When the sun goes through the equator, the Libra, there is Scorpio waiting in the winter. And there's a big story to tell here. This has to do with the tree of knowledge of good and evil. This has to do with the tree of knowledge of life in the Garden of Eden. And that's why I'm going to go to Taurus. Alright? So it's going to be really fun. It's going to be fun to expose the Bible for what it really is. Not to shred it to bits and do what Voltaire did and some of those philosophers that made it appear to be useless to mankind. It's not useless. It's got some good stuff in it. But it's not to be taken literal. It's just storytelling. And because when one knows all the stars of the ecliptic, and one knows that when they see Aries, they know it's spring, and Taurus is telling you to get your bull out and plough, and when they see and read the stars, like the Bible says in Job 38, the Lord says unto Job, he says, can you tell forth the Mazzaroth? Do you know how to tell the seasons? And can you read the signs of the zodiac? The Mazzaroth is the zodiac. And that's what Job was implored to do. Because one who does that will be very, very wise. And he'll be able to tell and make prophecies based on this, because it's cyclical. And all prophecies are in these cycles.
Nostradamus from that.
Oh, for sure. And we're going to see a bit of that later. Yes, Nostradamus. Now, by the way, I gave you a figure of 48 constellations. Well, there are 88 now in modern times. There's been a few contributors to those in the recent couple of thousand years since Ptolemy. But I want to concentrate on the 48 because that's where the Gospels are focused. And the last thing I want to do, so that's two things I'm going to do. The galactic crossing or alignment, that's better. I'm going to do the storytelling with the 12 signs of the zodiac, and then I want to show you how astrology is born of this science, so that you really, really will have some really good skills, and you'll be able to say, oh, he's a Capricorn, I can tell the way he's walking. And you will. You will. I'm doing it. So let's get into it, shall we?
Yes.
All right. The galactic alignment. Now, and there's a good book by, I haven't even read it, but I've heard all of the interviews by John Major Jenkins. Yeah, he's got a book on the galactic alignment. Now, a lot of people are talking about a planetary alignment. Well, there ain't none. Ain't any. There aren't any. There will not be one. Correct myself as I go. That is, I'll put it up that way because the ascendant's on the right position. Sorry, I didn't have time to make any proper visuals that you can really see clearly. That is 2012. The 21st of December 2012, you will notice there are no planets aligning. Not a one. Well, there are. There's the Moon and Uranus in Aries. But that's it. So if it's not a planetary alignment, as a lot of people are erroneously suggesting, what is it? Well, it's a galactic alignment, okay? I'm going to draw a graph, and what I'm going to base it on is the terrestrial version of this sine wave that's happening in the skies. There is an old map, and as you can see, the equator is there, and you see the passage of the sun through the 12 seasons. All right, 4 seasons. They're really 12. But, or you can say 2, summer and winter. And as you see, the sun will climb up above the equator 23.5 degrees to reach the Tropic of Cancer. Then it climbs back through over here in Libra again, goes through Scorpio, goes down to its death in winter on the 21st of December at the solstice and dies there. To be reborn on the 25th of December, 3 days later, and climb back the holy mountain of God in the sign of Capricorn, the goat climber who wishes to climb the mountains. Okay? So I'm going to base this, I'm going to draw this up now, and I'm going to show you where the galactic equator is. Now, George, did I send you those links where we can put up the...
Yeah, I can do that.
Do you think we could do that in around about 5 minutes? I've just thought I'd give you some time.
Right.
That's fine. Yes, that's good. We'll do that. Well, I'm going to go through that. Now, first I'll do this. So there's the Earth. It's round, isn't it? Last time I checked.
I'm not sure about that.
Yes. Well, it's flat. From this angle, it's flat. So the Earth's flat. There's the equator.
Proof. Right there.
Hey?
Proof.
Yes. And that there is the Tropic of Cancer. Here goes the Tropic of Capricorn. And there's our little sine wave. That's the sun's journey. Obviously, I've stretched this out a bit. It's supposed to be 47 degrees. Okay, because of the Earth's tilt. 23.5 degrees. I'm writing this up because later these points will come back.
Have you got black?
I have. Am I going slow enough? I don't want to go too slow and I don't want to go too fast because I don't want to lose anybody. So there's the Tropic of Cancer. And on June the 21st, which is coming up now, by the way, look for a couple of things in this month. We're having 3 lunar eclipses, one on the 15th of June, next week. Very, very important. On that very day, Saturn commences to go, Saturn's been in retrograde. I've been watching it. It's physically in Virgo. They say it's in Libra because there's a 30-degree displacement of the zodiac, which I shall explain, but it's physically in Virgo, and I've watched it, and it's been going backwards, retrograding, and now it's going to start going forward. And that will happen right on cue with the eclipse. This is very profound. After the June the 25th, June the 15th this year, just a couple of weeks away, big changes. Because when Saturn decides he's going to start going forward, there's a lot of stuff that happens on the Earth.
So retrograde simply means to go.
It means he's going backwards, or he appears to go instead of, obviously the sun, if the sun did this and then went like that during the day, we'd go, hey, the sun going retrograde, the planets are doing it. Why? I'll just explain, let me just divert a little bit to explain how simple it is to understand retrograde, because
Backwards, I mean.
yeah, retrograde means going backwards. So the sun, the moon, everything goes one way. It goes east-west. But we've noticed that the 5 planets from time to time do this. Right? And Ptolemy explained that as circles. He said, what they're doing, the planets, is they're going like this. And that's the retrograde, that little bit that we notice from here.
Because the Earth does that too, doesn't it?
No. No. Just those 5 visible
I
planets.
thought that was because of the wobble of the Earth, it does that.
That's precession. The wobble causes, well, it doesn't cause precession, but it's in there. I'll explain that one too, okay? Now, what is going on with retrograde is this. It's quite simple. If that is the sun, all of our planets are in elliptic orbits. So let's say there's Mars. Mars is very elliptic, and Venus is not so. Venus is a little bit more softer, right? Now, and we're sort of, let's say we're going around here too, around the sun. Well we are. And we'd be in between both of those, wouldn't we? So let's say ours is a little bit more round. Let's make it a bit round, okay? Now, so we're cruising around this way. We're going around here. And as we go around here, as Mars goes through this part of the trajectory, he will appear to be going so fast. But when Mars gets over to here, right, and it'll almost, as we go around here, it'll almost seem like he's stopping as he's going that way, because we're here and it looks like he's stopping, right? It's like the runners around the track, right, at the Olympics. They, the track's like that, but you see, there's the tracks. This guy starts over here, this guy starts over here, this guy over here, and this guy over here. None of them have been ripped off, none of them have been handicapped, it's just that they've got to go around the curve, right? So that's what retrograde is. It's quite simple, but you can study that, just go on Google and put in retrograde. But the thing is, when Saturn goes backwards, he withholds all his positive things. He hasn't got many positive things, but the positive things that Saturn gives us are really, really, really positive. But he gives us a lot of negative, because the astrologers say he's probably 50% of all the sicknesses and ills on the earth. And together with Mars, 90%. They are the malefics. The benefics being Jupiter and Venus, of course. Now, so when this is the solstice, this is the longest day of the year in the northern hemisphere. Over here we have the winter solstice, December the 21st. Here we have September the 21st. Here we have March 21st. Now if you know about the equinoxes and solstices, you will already have picked up that I've made a mistake with September the 21st. It's the 23rd. But I'm keeping it simple, because usually the handover day from one sign to the next is the 21st, the eve of the 21st, the 22nd. Okay? But it doesn't matter. That's good enough. Okay? Now, so what we need to do then, so this is obviously the Tropic of Cancer, so this must be, this delta 30-degree slice of the cake is Cancer. Here we have Leo. Here we have the Virgin. Let's go down this way. I'll go down this way first. Libra. Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius and Pisces. So I want to just fill that up here. Libra, Scorpio, Sag. This is very uneven, but I'll do this later and we'll make it much better, because I've got a lot of information to put in here. Aries, of course, Taurus and Gemini, which is the sign we're in right now. So, as the sun goes around, it crosses the Milky Way twice, right here. That's where the Milky Way crosses. Between Taurus and Gemini, and Sagittarius and Scorpio. Sagittarius's arrow and Scorpio's tail are pointing to the centre of the Milky Way galaxy. I'm going to show you those pictures right now. As I said, there's Sagittarius and there's Scorpio, and they're actually pointing. Oh, that arrow's convenient, isn't it? They're pointing to the centre of the Milky Way galaxy, and there's the ecliptic. See how the ecliptic runs through the zodiac signs? That's the sun's path, but this is the galactic plane. Okay? Now, just take a notice, there's Lupus, the constellation Lupus. Here's Scorpio. This is Ophiuchus, the 13th sign of the zodiac. I'm going to show you what that means later. Sagittarius, Capricorn's down here. Over here you see Centaur. Yeah, you'll notice the Centaur. This is also a Centaur, isn't it? Sagittarius? Right. Half man, half horse. There's one over there too. He's got a spear and he's killing Lupus. But if Lupus the wolf was not there, it would be going straight through Scorpio, and that's what Sagittarius is trying to do. He's trying to kill Scorpio, and Ophiuchus is standing on Scorpio's head in fulfillment of the prophecy in the Bible. You shall be bruised on the heel, and you shall bruise him on the head. Because Ophiuchus means serpent holder. and he's actually holding a serpent. So I'm going to show you that in a minute. And this
How does the heel thing work?
Ophiuchus,
Yeah.
which you don't see very well on this, because this is what you call a starfinder, isn't it? It's just an application on the internet. So it's not really pointing out very well and naming them, because there he is. The name's up there. But Ophiuchus is the 13th sign. He's in there between Sagittarius and Scorpio, the famous 13th sign that we're talking about. He's a mysterious character, because the Babylonians never put him in there. It was the Greeks and the Romans that put their hero in there. And he's standing on the serpent, about to kill it. And of course Sagittarius wants to kill it too, because in here is the centre of the Milky Way galaxy. And if you I'll give you the application, the computer, the website where you can go to this, and as soon as it opens to this page. Of all the heavens, it opens to this page, because there's a lot. It goes forever, you know, it goes right around 360 degrees, but it right where the crossing is, this is the galactic crossing. This cross here, this ecliptic, along with the galactic plane, this is called the divine cross, which is in the sky. This cross here, the equinoxes and the solstices, is the mundane cross. When they intermesh on the 21st of December 2012, they make an 8-spoke wheel in the heavens that Nostradamus speaks about. The divine cross, that one, and we're lining up to it. I'll show you how. This is really nice. This is really good stuff. Okay? Now, but later on, I'm going to draw this up exactly as you see it here, and I'm going to show you that this is part of the most beautiful storytelling in the Bible that there is. It's all about the Garden of Eden and how we fell out of the Garden of Eden and we fell below the equator, the galactic equator. And then we've been looking for this galactic cross for 24,000 years. Earlier on I said 25,920. That's the Egyptian figure. That's the Western figure. In the East and other cultures, they gave it a figure of 24,000. 24 hours. It's 24,000 when corrected. 25,920 is the outer figure, uncorrected. Because as we are travelling around our binary star, Sirius, it speeds up as we get close to her in the Golden Age, and then the Silver Age as we part from her, and then the Bronze Age and the Iron Age, where things are very, very slow. And then it speeds up. And to get some very accurate information on this, I recommend to read this book by Walter Crittenden and all these scientists that are proving beyond reasonable doubt that we are in a binary with Sirius. And he explains, the figures are in here, in this book. In fact, there it is. That chart there explains that precession is speeding up. So it will reduce to 24,000 years. I'm going to use 24,000 years.
Hold the chart for a second again.
Chart.
Got it.
Okay, and Sri Yukteswar, there you go, we call this book The Holy Science. That's what I'm teaching. I'm teaching the Holy Science. And just to back what I was saying there,
the ancient Greeks teach this like all the...
Oh, the Greeks talked about precession. In fact, we nickname precession of the equinoxes the Platonic year because of Plato.
Plato talked about all these signs you're talking about?
Yes. Oh, yes.
It's suppressed and then it's coming out again through you.
Hipparchus, Democritus, Empedocles, Plutarch, Socrates,
They all knew
you name it. That's why Porphyry and Celsus had their books burned. Because Porphyry and Celsus in particular, in the 2nd and 3rd century, went after the literalist Christians who were making Jesus a historical person, and they were saying, God damn it, he's up in the sky.
Are you done with this?
Yes.
Yes? Alright, we fix the... Come a couple of 2 minutes and fix the wash?
Yes.
Excellent.
the sun in Hebrew, and Horus, and Hercules, and whoever, there's always the same one hero. And rather than looking for historical personages, which we'll never find, we can just do what Napoleon did. He went down to France with Volney and Dupuy, and they wrote their books, and they influenced Jefferson and all the presidents, the founding fathers, about the fact that the Christian myth is just that. It's a myth. But it's a useful myth. It's a beautiful myth because it talks about how we raise our Christ within.
The intention's good, in that you're saying, it might be...
Yeah, it is. It's just that our obtuse spiritual light, it's very dull in the Dark Ages. You can't just go around pointing and saying it's the Catholic Church's fault, and and all these institutions. They're all at fault, partly, but it's mostly because our sun is so far away from Sirius. There's no light. So we see all these holy books and we misunderstand them. We're looking for historical figures. And I'm going to show you tens and tens and tens of quotes from all the geniuses of history that will back what I'm saying. Like the founding fathers, even the doctors of the Catholic Church.
All the information through Sirius is blue.
That's right, Sirius is now blue, right? Well, I've got documents here from all the astrologers. I've got Aratus in the 3rd century BCE. I've got Ptolemy, Marcus Manilius. Marcus Manilius said it was blue back in his day, in Caesar Augustus's day. Before that, it was red. So it's changed. It's gone red shifted, blue shifted, which means red shifted is when the stars are moving away from each other, and blue is when they're moving towards. So Sirius is now blue. It's turned the corner. We're coming toward each other, as everything is a beautiful sexual electric magnetic dance in the universe.
We've got 3 channelings here. One's blue star, the other one's blue lodge, and the other one's blue something else.
Yes.
And they're all connected with Sirius.
Yes.
Interesting.
It's our sister star. There's no doubt about it. Sri Yukteswar there talks about it. He doesn't name Sirius, but he says that we go around it every 24,000 years. But what I'd like to read to you is how it affects us. And here's how it affects us when it... there's the wheel. There's the Yuga wheel. Kali Yuga, Dvapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, Satya Yuga. Golden Age. That's how the Yuga works. I've got a bigger version of this somewhere in my books, but I can show you that later. You can have a look at that. That's the cycle. But it's the cycle backwards going through the zodiac, you see. Because we're in the age of Pisces now. 2,000 years ago, Aries. 4,000 years ago, Taurus. And so that's 6,000 years of history. And this appears to be when the Christians say the Adam and Eve story happened. Well, there's Gemini, Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. And they fell out when our equinox fell out of that sign. And the equinox is down here at Pisces. It is now right over here, about to go into Aquarius. And then we will be in the age of Aquarius. Opposite will be Leo. And guess what? Where will the solstices be? Well, they'll be here. Right in line, because the solstice has been here. If the equinoxes have travelled from this point since the time of, say, Jesus, and I'm going to explain which Jesus came 2,000 years ago. He came, but it's up in the sky. Because when Pisces comes, finally when the equinox gets to be enjoyed by the fish, at the start here, in here there's a constellation called Cephas. Cephas is the king. He's got his foot on Polaris, the pole star. And he sits in the dome of the northern stars, which is called the throne of God, because he's the king. He's on top. Cephas is on top of all of this. As you wrap the heavens up like this around, this is the northern dome, this is the southern where we are in Australia. These are the southern stars. So the Southern Cross will be somewhere here, connected to one of the 12 signs of the zodiac. So this is round, of course, it's a sphere, and up here is where Cephas is. Well, Cephas He gets the job of putting Polaris on the throne. Because in the northern stars, there's no true north. I mean, there's a true north, but there's no star occupying that spot. There are 7 stars. Over this 24,000 year backward cycle, there are 7 stars to get to sit on the throne. And when Polaris gets his chance, that's a type of Jesus, because Jesus means also the coming one. See, the sun is always coming, going, coming, going. Every year it goes down to winter, comes back for summer to give us some food. It's our saviour. And he goes away from Sirius and he goes back to the golden age to give us our light bodies back, and we go into higher dimensions. And then when he goes away from Sirius, his beautiful mother, because it comes from Sirius, Jesus is the sun. That's why you see Isis with Jesus in Egypt. It's telling you the sun, the mother Isis, our sun is the son of that. It was born of Sirius. When he goes back to it, it brings us to the golden age. When he goes away, he leaves us in darkness. But he's always the coming one. And when he gets his chance, Cephas gets his chance to put Polaris on the throne, then the other stars, for instance, Draco's up there, the dragon. He's the great dragon who fights with the woman. And who's the woman? It's Ursa Major, the Big Dipper. She's trying to put the Little Dipper with Polaris on it. She's trying to put him on the throne. She wants her son to be on the throne. And he does. He gets a chance for 2,000 years plus 1,000. That is the rule of Polaris. That is how long Polaris sits on the throne of God. And all the domes around the world. You go to the Vatican and the Sistine Chapel. What's that dome there for? That's the throne of God. It's all the constant, God holding down his arm down to Adam. They're in the constellations. That's the 48 constellations. That's the story. That's the gospel. They're telling you, look up, don't look down. But in their teaching, they tell you that it's down. Oh, Jesus was an historical person. We have to believe in him and we'll be saved. How does that work? Even a child will question that, and then the priest will tell him, oh, you sit in the corner. Don't you doubt. It doesn't make sense. What makes sense is the truth. The truth makes sense. It always does. And omnia vincit veritas. Long live the truth. And that's why you're here. Because you don't have just a fleeting interest in the subject of truth. You have a big interest in the subject of truth. I know.
So Jesus in the stars is who? Is it the sun? Or
it's the sun.
The sun is Jesus.
It's all the suns.
Yeah.
Because suns...
Like Sirius.
Let's divert for a little bit, because we're gonna try and pin... Before we have our lunch break, I want to get the galactic alignment right out of the way. This is a little bit of a diversion, but it's a good one, because you've just asked a good question. Fire. All the suns. Oh, you beauty. Too good. And I'll have another one of those too. Thank you. Cameraman's very helpful.
Oh, thank you. First time you said that.
Yes.
Multi-purpose.
Oh, always tell you what you want to hear when you're around. That's a female, okay? Now, people get offended when you talk about a divided universe. It is. It's a divided universe. It's a duality universe. People get offended. They go, no, it's not. It's a one universe. Well, it is. Uni means one. But in order to manifest material things, the one God of light, the cause, the ether, must, with his 4 elements, he must have magnetic, or what's called negative electricity. This is electric. This positive electricity. This is negative electricity. That's good and evil. That's all it is. Okay? And so you see that 2 elements are male and 2 are feminine. Let's not be offended, okay? It's
Do
I need to put that back on?
I prefer
I can do it.
tattoo.
Big boy. Thanks. So, What was your question again? Can you just refresh me?
Who's Jesus?
Oh, Jesus,
in the
yeah.
stars?
So all of the fires in the sky are Jesus's. That's what's called the Son of God.
What do you mean by fires in the sky? How do you mean by?
The electric fires, the stars. All the stars you see, all of them, they're just the phenomena of electricity. Okay, I want to perhaps just read something very interesting that Walter Russell says in his book. Because this guy was a genius. Like he was a contemporary of Tesla and Edison and Einstein. And this concept of the universe is that there's only electricity and magnetism out there. And the magnetism is the effect of what those suns are doing. The ether, the fires, the electricity comes from the ether, from the cause. This is the effect.
Okay.
Cause, effect. And all this is you'll notice that Earth is connected. These are the five platonic solids. Back to Plato, you know. Interesting. These are the platonic elements, or Pythagorean. But if you meditate on these and you realise that the tetrahedron, the four-sided polyhedra, relates to fire. The octahedron relates to air. The icosahedron, icosa means 20 sides. Ikosi in Greek is 20. And hex, of course, that's six sides, that's a cube. These are the only shapes that will fit inside a sphere and touch at the tips, at the corners, perfectly. There's only 5 shapes known to man that will do that, and these are the shapes. There are other solids like the Archimedean solids. They're much more complex and everything like that. They have nothing to do with this. These are the building blocks of the universe. Every atom will be either light, gas, liquid, or solid. Your body is water, it's bones, gas, and radiance, light, photons, heat. That's what you're made up of. And they correspond to nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, and carbon. That's what we're made up of. Carbon, the number of carbon, the atomic number is 666. The mark of the beast. 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. And that's the hex that we've been hexed with, because when you flat pack a hex, you get a cross. Okay? And that's why Jesus is always on the cross in agony, because it's talking about the Son of God, our souls, here, crucified on fire, air, earth, and water. We've been crucified. This is a crucifixion. This is not living. It's experiencing the 5 senses. It's having a nightmare rather than a dream. It's a dream, but there's parts of it that are nightmarish, don't you think? Yeah. Especially if you turn on Channel 9 and listen to the news. You know, we've killed Osama bin Laden for the 10th time now. And can you believe it, please? Oh. You know, it's getting ridiculous.
We chucked him overboard, so no.
And
maritime burial.
We could have found him in 10 years. If we could have found him in 10 years' time, took him 10 years to find him.
And we need your carbon tax. We're not dipping enough into your pockets. I mean, look, 20 years ago you didn't pay for water. You're paying for it now, you fools.
Yeah.
So we just want you to pay for air. We want everything. It's the elite families. It's the Rothschilds. You know, the Rothschilds. Yesterday there was a Red Shield appeal. You know, Red Shield, in my book, I can't spell, can I? And Red Cross, because I've done my reading and my studies, I know who owns that. It's the Roth in German, and that's Red Shield, Rothschild, the big bankers. And here's people, I saw so many people, because I was doing a street performance in the Burke Street Mall, and I saw so many people, young guys, they're walking up, $50 notes, well, there you go, Red Cross. They're doing a good job. They are. In this sick society that needs them, but one day we won't be needing charity. We'll all be rich because they won't be stealing our money.
They being the Rothschilds.
Oh, of course. And
And
the star families that imperialist monotheist families of Europe, basically, who created all these fictional religions so that they could divide us and confuse us and manipulate us, basically, starting with the Julian family and the Flavians in Rome. JC is Julius Caesar.
But what families were those families?
The Julian Empire, Nero, Tiberius, all of those clowns, and then the Flavians, Titus, Vespasian, and behind both of those families is the Piso family, and Roman Piso has kindly come out and told us that they did it to us. This is the most elite of the families. This is above the Rothschilds. This is the secretest family that all royalties and all taxes go to. They've had the emperors on Rome for 2,000 years on the throne of Rome since the Flavians. It's who's the name behind the Flavians, and he tells in this book. It's a beautiful book, and he's not the only one. There's other people who have written about this conspiracy to deceive mankind. And they've been sued for it too, the Catholic Church, for profiting from the gullibility of mankind with this supposed Jesus story.
They've been sued by it? The Catholic Church has been sued?
There was a gentleman who's dead now in Italy called Luigi Cascioli. I followed his work. He's written books about exposing this and how the Vatican has been using the lie of historical Christ to manipulate mankind and to deprive them from the knowledge that we are all Christs. We're all one human, divided into many little humans, having separate dreams, but we're all one. But they want to divide us into bad little sinners, and Jesus is in history and he's perfect, and you've got to be like him. If you don't, you fail, you flunk, and you pay penance to us.
So if he sued the church, where did it go to?
Well, they didn't turn up. He sued the church. He died a couple of years ago, Luigi Cascioli, but he had a whole team of people. He's written some beautiful books in Italian, and he sued them. And they didn't turn up in court. They needed to have some fight, otherwise. And so, but it's not the first time. That's just the.
So,
Latest.
But it's coming. Oh.
if they didn't turn up, then they lose.
More or less.
Yeah, because I've got
More or less, don't
about
they? Yeah. I don't know the exact ins and outs of that, because that part doesn't interest me. The part about the fact how he proves that Christ is, and all the writers, I've got a list of hundreds of them. Hundreds. You know, Thomas Paine, Thomas Jefferson, and Dupuy, and not Voltaire, Volney, and lots of. They've written about this story that I'm going to show. That's it. It's all it ever was. It's not in history. That's the Trojan War. It's everything.
So,
It's the Iliad, it's the Metamorphosis, the Odyssey, the Ennead. Sorry.
are you still doing the period?
I'll do a bit more here then.
Yeah.
Any questions on this? I mean, this is pretty simple. This is physics, okay? You've got the element, the solid, the state, the physics, the chemistry, the mode, the sense, the kingdom. I've got, on my computer, I've got a list of those fours that go forever. You know, 4 blood types, 4 Hippocratic biles. This goes on and on. But you first start with the elements. What are they? What was Plato talking about exactly? Well, he was talking about light, gas, liquid and solid. And scientists now know that atoms will only do this. They'll either be light, they'll be liquid, solid or gas. They'll be a molecule, an atom, particle or photon.
So atoms can be like one of those 4 shapes. Is that what you mean?
Atoms are made by these, yes. Yeah. For instance, a carbon atom
Is that shape?
is a hex, 666.
Okay. I just thought the shape of it. I didn't know. I just thought atoms were atoms, the shape of them. Okay, they're all different. Okay, no worries.
Well, it's the molecules that they.
Okay, so gas atoms are in the shape of an octahedron.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes. It's liquid. Interesting, 20 sides. But the more you focus on this and meditate on this, believe you me, the whole world unfolds before your eyes. And you understand the secrets of nature, not by just understanding and knowing, but by direct knowledge. Everything comes directly after you meditate on these beautiful things. These are the 4 rivers of the Garden of Eden, the Pishon, and the Euphrates, and the Havilah, or whatever it was, I forget now, but anyway, there's 4 rivers that the Lord used to create the world. Oh, I didn't read. I've got to go back to read this. This is just beautiful. Just a very short sentence. Electricity is the only force which God makes use to create the universe. That's it. I can read on. And the only 2 tools God makes use of for creating, he's not talking about a monotheistic God, by the way, you know, God, oh, I'm angry with you. He's not talking about that God, right? It's the universe. It's birth. Basically, there's 2 gods. There's the Ein Sof, the Anama, as the Hindus call it, no name. Ein Sof means no name. And that's it. The one there that we know not about. This one we know. This is the Jesus, and below. You can know the mind of the Christ, but who can know the mind of God, says the Bible. So that's the Ein Sof, the prime creator. This is the demiurge. These are the more of the tyrant gods of the Greeks, who create bodies out of what the Ein Sof has already created. He creates things out of nothing. But these guys create, it's like a builder. He's going to make a house out of trees that God made, the universe. So he's a builder, but he didn't build the wood. Didn't make the wood. This guy makes the everything, and these guys use the tools, and this is what they call Jehovah. Yod He Va He. So that's why Christians, when they say, oh, Jehovah created the world, well, partially they're right. But he is the created. And part of Jehovah is all the characters in our solar system. That's who Jehovah is. These are the heroes. They're our heroes. Because when they looked up, the ancients, they noticed the patterns, those 48 patterns, and they noticed them. They noticed them going around every day. Interesting. That means we're in a cycle. Every year, we're in another cycle. And every 24,000 years, so we're in 3 cycles here. And what they noticed, that those stars were a backdrop. Because the sun and the moon that go around, they're called the wanderers. And the 5 visible planets, they're also wandering. So they noticed that there's these 5 stars, Saturn and Jupiter and Venus and Mars, and Mercury they call them, and they're always moving against the backdrop. But the backdrop is always there, telling the same story. And these are the characters. The sun is Helios. Mercury, Thoth, Moses, Hermes, Nebo, Aphrodite, Venus. The moon that sits on the earth, Diana, goddess of war. Mars, Ares. Jupiter, Thor, Zeus, the god of the gods. And Saturn, Kronos. We'll go back to that later.
Excuse me, can I just ask?
Yes.
How does Vedic astrology mesh with Western astrology?
Perfectly well. Has to. Same sky, same earth.
That's
Same. You'll see how as we get through. And a good question, because a lot of people feel that it's different. Even in the West, there are different systems. For instance, Firmicus Maternus, the 4th century astrologer, and this book must be read if you want to understand astrology. This is brilliant. Firmicus Maternus disagrees with Ptolemy 200 years prior to him, and Marcus Manilius 200 years prior to him, in their systems, you see, because as we have the equinox, so in Vedic astrology, for instance, one thing is they're saying that we've been in the sign of Virgo for the last 2,000 years. Well, we say in the West that it's that equinox there, which has been in Pisces, we've called it the age of Pisces. They're saying it's the age of Virgo in the East. I don't know whether the Hindus, the Vedas do, but I know that a lot of Easterns do. It doesn't matter. We're in the age of Virgo. But the thing with this galactic alignment is that once we line up with this in the sky, and the solstice is going to be between Leo and Virgo, Well, guess who Leo and Virgo is? That's the Sphinx in Egypt. And it's been a marker. It's a point, it's a marker. And it's saying to the world, who's quite obtuse, and they're thinking, oh, wow, that must have been Kephren. Kephen's, the image of Kephren. Well, it doesn't matter. It's telling us that when the equinox hits that point, that is the galactic alignment. And just wait to see how beautiful this galactic alignment is. It's going to make a lot more sense. I haven't explained anything yet. Right?
Just a quick question on the shapes. How are those shapes formed? I mean, the hex one is obvious from the carbon, but what about the other ones?
How are they formed? Well, the tetrahedron. Well, the tetrahedron is a photon, right? So the photons, the light, smash into other particles of light, right? And they curve, and that is the force of the sun's light, that electricity, which is smashing into other photons from other stars and what have you. It produces physical things. So you're a light body. All your atoms that you're carrying are empty and they're just light. But it's the densest part of your light body, really. The rest of it is so glorious in the heavens. Your immortal, beautiful soul that dwells in unconditioned consciousness is just so at peace and so loving and so happy to reunite with you when you die. The death is just beautiful. It's just a beautiful thing to look forward to. You know, this is just a dream. And what happens is they use the particles to combine and make atoms that love each other, like hydrogen and oxygen, want to make water, right? Or other structures, other things that we have, carbon combining with nitrogen, oxygen, to make solid things. That's the molecule. All right? Does that?
I'm not sure. I mean,
What was the question
there's some
again?
sort of sacred geometry that the elements will be attracted to that shape or something.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so what you'll have elements that produce that to create a cohesive condition.
Yeah.
In the manifesting process.
So is that a vibration?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's a vibration.
So it's
Yes.
like with music, sound, everything, yeah? Like you hit the body with the frequency of calcium and your bones will get stronger and stuff like that. So I assume same thing.
Or matter is all standing waves.
Yeah.
As it goes down from the fires, from the Jesuses, down through air, it gets grosser. It's like a distillery.
It's more solid.
Yeah, it gets. And so where we are at the moment is we're carbon bodies, are we not?
Yes.
Right. So we've been hexed. When you flat pack a hex, I'm trying to save all these things for later because it's I'm trying to do the galactic alignment, but can't resist. We're talking about it now. There's the hex.
Yeah, you were doing galactic.
Oh, what? I will do this before we have a break. Don't worry.
Well, I'm going to do a tape change in about 30 seconds, so
No
finish
worries.
this. And
Yeah. So there's the hex, and guess what? Japanese, Chinese kanji for earth. That's the ground, and there's your fire, earth. By the way, this is male and this is feminine, is it not? We learnt that. So you've got earth over here, water over here, because they're both on the bottom. They're feminine, they're magnetic. And does that look like east and west to you? And then you must have male here, so we'll put the fire there and the air down here. Well, air, as I've got on there, is also spirit, S, and fire, Nur, that's north. That's fire, Nur. So there's your north, south, east, west. And I'm going to show you how that comes from this galactic alignment.
Awesome. Okay.
See, in the golden age we knew a lot more. about who the ether is.
Yeah.
Because we were capable. And that's what Sri Yukteswar was saying.
What was Pseudo's surname? Santos?
Pseudo-Dionysus.
Dionysus.
Dionysius. Okay, we on? Okay. So this is what he says about this beautiful 24,000 year cycle that we live in. When the autumnal equinox was at the first point of Aries, the sun began to move away from the point of its orbit nearest to the grand centre, toward the point farthest from it. That's when the equinox was in Aries. That's when the golden age happens. Aries is the start. Aries is the golden one. You'll see how important Aries is. It's the start of everything. We Aryans, we're just so good, aren't we?
I've got to find it, yeah. Alice, I won't be able to live with her. Easy, I won't be able to live with her. Go easy with the Aries, so I won't be able to live with her.
I bet your head will go more prominent.
Unbearable we are. Unbearable.
That's exactly what my husband said to me. Nobody could live with you except him, and then the bastard died and left me.
And the reason is, he's still with you. The reason is because Aries rules the head.
Yeah.
The sun is in the head. Everywhere else, if you're a Virgo, the sun's in your belly. You've got fire in the belly. Whatever you are, Pisces, the sun's in your feet. That's the head, that's the feet. And these are all the parts of the body. So that's why Aryans are sometimes unweird, because their heads are so prominent to them, you know, and what they're thinking is so important to them. I am, they say. And that's the motto of Aryans.
What about Sagittarius?
Sagittarius, they're the happiest. They've got Jupiter, Jove, they're jovial. And I'm going to show you pictures of them and show you how they are. Alright, so we're rolling now, aren't we still going? Alright, now, so we're going to go back to this, but first, I wonder whether I've explained that bit.
Now we're doing the galactic alignment.
Yes, galactic alignment. So, what happens is, as our Alright, so imagine there's, that's where that's where the line is, the equinox. This is how the zodiac stands. It does not move from this position. It starts at Aries, cardinal fire. Cardinal is birth, growth, decay. Start, middle, finish. So, cardinal fire, remember the fire is at the top, right next to the ether? It's got to be the start. Corresponds to 6 o'clock in the morning, 12, it's a 24-hour clock, right? That's where the sun rises. Sun sets over here in Libra. Midnight. 6, 12, 6, 12. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. But notice something, those cardinal points, they are only cardinal points. They are the start of the seasons. The midsummer is here. The midwinter is here. And that's the mid in Taurus. Notice the fixed signs. The middle of the seasons are in the fixed. Midsummer is here.
If you're in the northern.
In the northern hemisphere, yes. By the way, just please relocate yourself to the northern hemisphere. All right, it's all opposite here in the south, but you've got to stay with the story because the story was told there before it ever was. The Aboriginals have got their version, and it works down here too. It all works. It all works. But what I'm doing is I'm just doing it in relation to that because, as we will see, these are the signs of the summer and the life. This is good. This is evil. These signs are the signs of evil. Right? Not qualitative evil. Evil, it's just electricity and magnetism. That's all it is. Okay? Now, so as I said before, the cardinal point is not in Aries anymore, it's in Pisces. So 2,000 years ago it was here, when Polaris sat on the throne. And it's been travelling down here for the last 2,000 years, all through the age of Pisces. The sign of the cross, that's the cross, by the way. And as Marcus Aurelius said, watch those mutable signs, because they are doubled. 2 fish, 2 twins, Mercury, the hermaphrodite, 2 natures, Sagittarius. So you see, the cardinal points are important because they sit on the cardinal points. The fixed points are also important because they sit in the midst of the season. And they're your cross-quarter days. That's all your cross-quarter days. Cross-quarter days being the 8-spoke wheel on Earth. And you've got Easter, May Day, May the 1st, summer solstice. What do they call this? It's midsummer day. Lamas, loaf mass, which comes from loaf mass, because they cook breads, those loaves, like the hot cross buns at Easter. Why do we have hot cross buns at Easter? Because the sun's just crossed over. It's crossed over the equator, and these are all the crossings, the crucifixions of the sun. So, and those midpoints, if we are to go over like this, now before I get there, remember we're entering the age of Aquarius now. We're about here at the threshold. What it means is the equinox is going to be here, and the summer solstice is going to be right here. Now, what's so special about that? Well, that's the galactic equator. Remember? It runs through Gemini and Taurus, Sagittarius and Scorpio.
What are the crucifixions of the sun, Santos?
The equinoxes and the solstices. The cross. That cross there, remember? The equinoxes and the solstices are the crucifixions. From here, from those points, from the equinox, March 21st, to mid-spring is exactly 45 days. But in the Bible, it's known as the 40 days. And the Israelites were in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, and Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and Moses did whatever, 40 days and 40 nights. They quarantined Miriam for 40 days and 40 nights. 40 here, 40 there, 40. What is it? It's here. It's up. Look up. Because when the sun hits the equinox, it needs 3 days of death, or 4, and then they start counting, and then it starts counting, and it's always 40 days. 40 days from here to there, 40 from here to there, 40 from here to there, 40 from here to there, 40, 40, 40, 40. Or, we know it's 45. 45 and 45 make 90 degrees. But, what happens is when the sun reaches those points, when it reaches the solstice, it has a 5-day rest, virtually, like a 3 or 4 or 5-day rest. So you don't count those days. So even though when the sun hits those cardinal points, it still requires 40 days before the season's true effect. And what happens when you line up the mid-summer, the mid-season? Right, here was the cardinal cross. We lined it up perfectly, didn't we, to the equator and the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. There's Cancer.
So that's the same as what you've got on the board now.
That's how it always is. But if you just do this, let's bring it around 45 degrees, so that we can have the mid-season points now, and you'll find the cross that I drew hiding.
So that's all the fixed.
Yes. Have a look. Leo, fixed fire. Aquarius, fixed air, remember?
Yep.
That's male, fire, air. It's the fixed signs. It's the cherubim of the Bible, and God appeared unto St. John as an eagle, a man, a bear, a lion, and a bull.
Are we
Up
going
in
to
the
be tested
sky.
on all this?
Hey?
Are we going to be tested on all this? I can't give up.
Really? Okay.
Oh well, it's fine.
Yes.
It's a lot to absorb.
It is a lot. It is, isn't it?
So that,
What do you do, you know?
so we with it. Are you still doing the
What?
Sorry.
Now let's go back to this, because I want to spend a lot of time on this, because it is a lot to absorb and it needs to be worked properly. So you see the fire and the air, and then you've got earth over here and water over here, whereas I've put east. If the cross is going to be lined up to the cardinal directions and the elements, it's got to be done right. So why are they flipped over? Because Taurus is in the east, and that is in the west. Don't be confused. That is not the east over there.